everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I know it's a crazy time of year, in a crazy year, so we're kind of double whammy on that. But again, I appreciate everybody taking the time out of their day to join us. Unfortunately, the Ambetter rep came down with an illness and is not able to join us today. And unfortunately, also, Centene, who is the parent company for Ambetter, did not give us the confirmation on some of the information that we have to go live with. So we are limited in what we have. But what I will do is we're going to go over all the states where Ambetter is going to be for 2021. We're going to talk about all the expansion areas and their current footprints. And I'm also going to go into some detail as far as what I see as the landscape of the ACA in the different markets. And also, you will see that there is a chat box available, and a question box. So if you have a question, please go ahead and feel free. We are going to be monitoring those as we go. This is going to be kind of more of an open forum webinar, so we can cover what you're interested in. And again, I'm just going to basically tell you everything that I have for Ambetter, some history about them, and just go over whatever you guys are most concerned with. So we'll go ahead and jump right into this. What you're seeing is just our website, messerfinancial.com. Now, this is part 4 of our ACA week. So a lot of you have probably already seen this, but I want to make sure everybody is aware of some of the information that is available to you if you need it. So here's our website, messerfinancial.com. Everything you need to know about FFM certification is right here. Training guide, new agents, returning agents, help on demand. For those of you that don't know what that is a basically lead resource for ACA. So if you have not done so yet, make sure to check out this link, Help on Demand. It'll open. There we go. And it'll give you a walkthrough of how to register for it. You can pick which times for leads. Anybody that a client goes on to healthcare.gov, they will be able to have a place where they can request additional help, and that's where those leads will be filtered out to the agents that are registered for this. You pick the time frame, the language, a preference language that you want to go by, and it'll give you leads based off of your information. So again, guys, it's free leads. Go ahead and register for it, and they'll help you out. All right. Also on our page, if you're not yet contracted, I highly recommend going ahead and submitting those requests. As we get closer to open enrollment, carriers get bombarded with new contract requests, so it slows everything down. And let's face it, we want to be ready for 11/1 when it comes out. So if you have not yet done so, make sure to request your contract. Under agent resources on our website, it's online contracting. It'll take you right to our contracting site. Okay, so you create your profile, request the appointments. Now, when you request your appointment, that doesn't mean that you're done. There's going to be an additional link that's sent to you after you request it. And I will tell you guys, contracting for these carriers is already about a week to a week and a half behind. So again, another reason why you want to get them in today, because it's probably going to take you about a week before you receive your additional link. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. Also on our webpage, we have a Messer Learning Center. If you click on this, you can go back to any of the webinars that we recently did and any webinar in the past, and you can rewatch them or watch them for the first time. So like I said, we just had Bright Health, we've done Oscar. For those of you that are new to ACA, and there's a lot of you, because obviously the opportunity is now, I highly recommend checking out this Introduction to ACA. It was an overview that I did on the 16th, and it's a great way for you to understand where ACA was, how it is today, and where the direction we think it's moving into, and why now is the opportunity. So again, all of these resources here are for you. We want you to be successful. We want to support you in any way that we possibly can. And after all, this is a relationship business, and we look at everybody that we work with as partners, because at the end of the day, our success is dependent upon your success. So it does us no good if we contract you and you're not successful. So we are vested from day one with all of our partners, and I hope after this webinar you'll even see more of that and the information that we're going to give. So again, I do apologize for the rep and the situation with Ambetter. We are going to put on a full webinar with everyone from Ambetter and all the compliance that they're going to allow us to give. but I think we're still going to be able to give you a good idea of exactly where they're going to be and where the opportunity is. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this. At first, what we're going to do is we're going to go over all the states real quick that they're going to be in, and then we'll focus on specific states to go into further detail, okay? So here's the states. First one's Arizona, and you guys can write this down. And again, this will be posted on our website, so don't worry if you miss any of this information. You can always go back and watch it. And we will have this available for all of the agents as well, so we'll be sending this out. So there's Arizona, Florida, huge market for Ambetter. If you notice all of this, and again, I'll go into detail with this once we get through all the states first, because there are a lot of them. Georgia, another big state for Ambetter. Illinois, up in this area is probably going to be your best opportunities, but they are expanding. Kansas, Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and again, guys, this is all 2020. I'm sorry, 2021. This is all the newest, okay? Washington, Arkansas. I wish it was in alphabetical order. I don't know why they did that, but like I said, I just want to go over so you know all the states are going to be present. Indiana, Michigan, Mississippi, Nevada, which is state exchange for those of you that don't know, New Hampshire, and that's it. So for 2021, that is all the states that they're going to be present, okay? So now let's go into some of the areas where I think are going to be the biggest opportunities, and I'll explain why. Okay, let's start off with Florida. As many of you know, there's a lot of ACA that's written in Florida. In fact, it's the largest state in the country as far as production for ACA, and the majority of that business comes out of South Florida in those three counties, that Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade. There's a ton of business that's written out of there, and they're trying to also expand outside of Florida. But that's basically where Ambetter took their first lock hold, was Florida and Georgia. And I will say this, the purple colors for everybody so that we're all on the same page is their current footprint, okay? The blue is their expansion areas. And if you notice, this whole map, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 counties where the Ambetter is not going to be available in the entire state of Florida. So lots of expansion, lots of opportunity. And if you'll notice, a lot of those areas, for those of you that are in Florida that are working that market, they're going into areas where there's only one other carrier. Okay, so if that gives you a good indicator of what kind of business they're going to go after, that's a pretty good one. Now, one thing that everybody on this webinar needs to understand is with ACA carriers, you know, they're all going to tout that they're going to be the carrier to beat and whatnot, based off of their numbers, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality is, we don't know who's going to be the main carrier until we can actually quote it and we can see the rates, right? That's what we know. And unfortunately, that information is not available until right before the open enrollment period begins. So really, we're in the dark as far as who's going to be the real winner or loser. But what I can tell you is there's a lot of competition and a lot of carriers are hungry. And with expansion like this, that brings a lot of opportunity for rollover. And I can tell you one thing, in Florida, I think Florida Blue is going to get hit pretty hard because there's a lot of carriers coming after them. And those agents that are exclusive with Florida Blue, it's going to be hard for them to continue that exclusivity, because I think, like I said, with Ambetter, what they're showing right here, they mean business. Okay. So that's Florida. Georgia, huge state for Ambetter. They basically have it on lock. Okay. Now there is expansion opportunities with them in a lot of the rural areas. Again, I don't know which companies are going to be the most competitive. I will say this, because I was actually just on the call with them yesterday, and I can say this. This is another reason why this webinar is going to be better anyways, with me presenting it, because I'm going to give you a completely unbiased perspective based off of all the carriers. And that's what I want to give you, kind of a perspective of where each one I think is going to be a big opportunity. And one of the biggest areas in Georgia, especially in the Atlanta area. So for all of you Atlanta agents out there, it looks like Anthem is going to be a huge player there this year. They, a couple of the other carriers really put a hurting on Anthem last year. But I tell you, from the rate wise, from what I've seen, Anthem looks like a major player, and we do represent them as well. So again, I can't tell you for sure who's going to be the main winner, but you definitely want to have your appointments with these guys. And I will say that, remember, none of these carriers have production requirements. Okay, there's no fee to appoint. There's no production requirements. So if you're writing in an area and you think that there's going to be business, you might as well go ahead and appoint with all of them. Okay, and it doesn't take very long to do. All you have to do is just request it. So again, Ambetter has a very strong lock on the market currently in Georgia. I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity too with the other carriers in the Atlanta area. But I continue to see Ambetter going to be competitive throughout the state and in their expansion areas as well. Illinois, there's going to be some opportunity here, and that's actually where they're based out of. So it's kind of strange that they're not in the entire state, but there is going to be some opportunity. Kansas, there's a lot of expansion area. If you see here, again, I don't know who's going to be the main carrier, the big winner, but I will say that you're going to want to have Ambetter. And let me go ahead and just show this to everybody too. Bear with me 1 second here. This is a good, if you don't have this, we can send this to you, but this is very good in knowing what carrier is in each state. Okay. And this is pretty up to date. I think there may be a couple states that may be missing, but for the most part, this is going to be pretty accurate for everybody. But this is all the carriers that we represent for ACA. And again, we can send this out to anybody that's interested. All you have to do is just ask us. Okay, so going back to Ambetter. So, and in Kansas, if you look here, you're also going to have Cigna and Oscar. Okay, so for those of you that caught those webinars earlier this week, this is perfect for you. If you haven't done so, again, go to our website and you can watch the webinars on this. Unfortunately, as far as commissions go, they have not released what street level will be yet. So obviously, and honestly, we probably won't know for a couple of weeks from each carrier. They try to hold all of that information till the very end. And also, Ambetter, Bright Health, Cigna, Oscar, all of them are going to have agent bonuses too. But none of that information has been released. So keep that in mind whenever you're talking about other markets. Ambetter has a strong present hold there in Missouri, and a lot of expansion down here in the southeast. North Carolina, so this is our home state right here. A lot of expansion. This, again, the purple is their current footprint. Okay. And look at all the expansion, guys. We've got Stokes, Forsyth, Davidson, Randolph. Down here in the Harnett, Johnston, Cumberland, Sampson, Bladen, Robeson. Big one, Iredell, Wilkes County. All of that Ambetter is expanding into. So, again, for those of you that are selling in these markets, you definitely want to have them. And here's a good example. So last year, Ambetter this is just for an example, was a carrier who told us that they were going to be very strong over in the Guilford, Rockingham area. And unfortunately, at the very last second, Blue Cross Blue Shield in North Carolina found out what they were going to be and came in and lowered their rates and ended up beating Ambetter pretty good. This year, they're supposed to be much more competitive. But again, we won't know that until the end. So another reason why, guys, go ahead and get contracted with them and do it now. All right. Ohio is a pretty good state for Ambetter as well. I don't know about a much as far as rollover or anything, but they are someone that, again, if you're selling in those areas, you want to have. Pennsylvania, not that much opportunity there for Ambetter, kind of lacking as far as the market share, but still relevant. South Carolina, guys, check this out. Okay, so we've got some expansion over here. They're pretty much filling in the gaps, right? We would like them to be over in the Greenville, Spartanburg area, but they're working their way over there. But they last year, I can tell you in Horry County, it was almost laughable to see how much lower Ambetter was than the competition. So again, and that's the other thing, guys. Just because they're not competitive in one county doesn't mean they're not going to be super competitive in other counties. It really depends on where they fall. So for a carrier to come in and say, "Hey, we're going to be the number one carrier in the state," well, you really can't say that because it really depends on the county, the network that you have in that particular area, etc. So we'll know more once those rates finally do come out. Okay, but again, a lot of expansion. Tennessee is going to be very strong. I would also say, as far as from what I've seen, Cigna is going to be very strong in Tennessee. Bright Health's available in Tennessee. And really, what it's coming down to, these carriers are just battling with each other. And the good news is if you feel like after these rates come out, if you see that there's opportunity there with these bonuses, they're going to make it worth your while. So for those of you that have big numbers of production, it might be a good time to roll it to one carrier in a particular area if they're the ones to beat, because I'll tell you, those bonuses can really add up nicely. Texas, you got a lot of sporadic expansion areas, and I'll tell you, Ambetter was the carrier to beat. There are other carriers coming into Texas market. Oscar's there, Molina's there currently. There's also some new ones that we're in conversations with as far as adding them as well. But Ambetter's always been a major player, especially in the Houston area. Very strong products. Dallas area, they're going to have a good product. So, and San Antonio, they really had a lock in those markets too. Texas is going to be a very strong state for Ambetter. Washington State, they're going to be competitive there. Molina's up there as well too. So if you've got an opportunity there, that's an area you may want to work. Not much as far as expansion goes, but their current footprint's big, and it just really, again, depends on where those rates fall. Arkansas, they're already statewide. Indiana, statewide. Michigan. So here's the big news, guys. Michigan. For those of you that want to work that market. So to give you a little background on Ambetter, Ambetter is owned by their parent company, Centene. Centene is a very large company that actually just purchased WellCare. So for those of you that do Medicare Advantage, WellCare, Allwell, all of those are under the Centene branch, and then you've got Ambetter that does their ACA. Well, when they purchased WellCare, WellCare owned a small company called Meridian. So in Michigan, Meridian was the ACA product that was there. Now, since Centene now owns them, they're going to white label that product, the Meridian product, to the Ambetter product. So that area is now going to be Ambetter, and from what I'm hearing from them, they're claiming to be $200 to $300 lower than the competition premium-wise in that market. So for those of you that are looking to sell in an area that, with a brand new product, because like I said, it was Meridian, now it's Ambetter, here's your opportunity. Okay, so Michigan, that's one I know Ambetter is pushing very strong and thinking that there's a big opportunity. Mississippi, already statewide, very strong in that state currently, still going to have the same opportunities. And again, guys, the problem is it's very hard to expand into areas where the carrier already is everywhere. So what you try to find is the rollover opportunities. That carrier that is honestly going to take away a lot of the business from the carrier that has that area on lockdown. That gives us the opportunity. That's why I'm excited. Like in North Carolina, having all these options when we've only had one option forever is a great opportunity for us, right? Because I mean, what if there's only one option? Then where's the rollover opportunity? Unless I really don't know how you're going to get new business unless there are people that are new wave of people coming into the marketplace. So keep that in mind when partnering with these other carriers as well. Okay, Nevada, like I said, state exchange. I'll tell you, Health Plan Nevada kind of has that market on lock, so I would love to see Ambetter come in with a strong product here, and they could actually take a good amount of business. So that's exciting for those that like to travel to Vegas, like myself. We want to make sure that they're competitive and promote them as much as we can. New Hampshire, not a lot of ACAs written there, but they do have a nice little footprint. So again, that's one to have, and that is all the states for Ambetter. Okay. Again, we'll send this out to everybody. But if you were to ask me, my personal opinion, where you think you're going to write the most Ambetter business, I'm thinking Florida, Georgia, North Carolina will have a good opportunity. I don't know how great. South Carolina will be a great market. Tennessee will be okay, and Texas and Michigan. Those are the states that I'm primarily focusing on with Ambetter. Now, I've seen, like I said, in some areas, there's going to be these huge increases from other carriers. So I don't know if that's because they want to focus on other areas or what. But it is our job as the agents, and it is our fiduciary responsibility to our clients to do what's in their best interest. So all we can do as agents to be prepared is to have the carrier appointments in the areas where we are going to be marketing. Let the carriers do the work as far as whether they're going to get the business. All our job is to bring the right product to those clients. Okay. And you can quote on what I always watch for is right before the open enrollment, usually maybe a day, maybe even 2 days. Healthcare.gov releases the rates early. That would be my primary focus, is to wait until that comes out. And as soon as that is, get a jump start and do as much quoting as you can in your areas. All the different counties, quote somebody, get a good feel of who you're going to be marketing with and who you're going to be partnering with. And also, guys, it's very important to know your local broker manager. They are there to help. And if they are a carrier that's very strong in your area, they want to partner with you. And they will make it worth your while to do it, whether it's through compensation, bonuses, leads, whatever it is. The better relationship that you have with these reps, the better off it's going to be for you. Okay? So keep that in mind. Michael Mulcairn is our guy at Ambetter. He's the person that we work with a lot, and he's going to be doing our full webinar when he's ready and able to next week. So plan on probably Thursday next week, and we'll send out an invite for everybody. But that's when we're planning on doing the full webinar. So just keep that in mind, and relationships are the key. You know, for someone to know every bit of information for every product with every carrier in every state is almost impossible for one person alone to do it. So that's why you guys partner with people like us, so that we can give you our feedback on who's available there, who you should focus on, and just give you additional information so you don't have to necessarily know everything about everything, right? So, and I'm just going to go, and Jeff, I'm sorry, can you, has there been any questions that have come up since I started?
Yeah, we've got a couple. For some reason, you want to go back over Mississippi? I've tried to touch on some of these as you've been going along.
Sure.
A lot of them are just asking for when the slide presentation would be available so they can go back and take a look at the map.
Well, again, as soon as I get the go-ahead, we'll be sending this out. I'm pretty sure it's already available, but we will be sending this particular map right here, to everybody that was on this webinar today. So, and for the webinar next week as well. Mississippi is always going to be competitive for Ambetter, always. But like I said, there's just not that much opportunity for rollover in that state because they do have such a law. Now, when I'm looking at marketing areas for myself, I always look at opportunity where I can take business off of the primary carrier there, because that's where the big opportunity for rollover is. So that's why I'm not saying the other states I'm not saying are not opportunities for Ambetter. I'm just talking about for new business and growing your book of business. That one's not going to be one of my primary focuses for Ambetter. Now, a carrier like Molina that's expanding in all the different states in Mississippi and some of these other markets. That would be more of a focus for me. Are you guys going to be competitive there? If you are, then there's a lot of opportunity to take business off of a carrier like Ambetter in those markets. But again, we won't know until those rates are live.
All right, talk a little bit about lead generation, Michael. We've had people over the last couple of days asking us about the help on demand. Can you pull that up and go back over that for us?
Absolutely. So let me pull this up, help on demand. So like I said, it does give you a basic how does it work. And what it's going to do is when you're filling it out, it's going to ask you basically what hours do you want to work, and you can select them all if you want to. If you want people to be referred over 24/7, that's completely up to you. Agent brokers can maintain a flexible schedule. Agents and brokers can set standard operating hours on help on demand or sign on whenever they are available to help consumers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, they're going to give you a certain amount of time when they send you these leads to work them. And if you don't work them or disposition them within a certain amount of time, they're going to take them back, which rightfully so, because these people need help when they want help, because otherwise then the sizzle's gone. But as long as you're working those, then I've heard in some areas and in certain demographics, people getting a ton of new leads. I can't say how many because it varies so much, and it really depends on the market where you're working. Because if you're in certain markets where you've got thousands of agents that are FFM certified in a certain area, then you probably won't get as many leads as other people. And it also depends on how flexible the agent is. Can you work? How wide is your market? How many states do you handle? And the bottom line is, guys, now that everything for ACA is electronic and we have these enrollment platforms where you can do full telephonic enrollment for these, why limit yourself? You know, if you have a way to prospect in a certain area, then go ahead and do it. And that's the beauty and what I love most about the ACA is there's no real regulations, within reason, of course, on how you can market. So if you want to post signs out in your yard, if you want to do any kind of social media marketing, you can have Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. And in our MyNFG enrollment tool, we have a link where you can put on those sites. So people can go on there and actually quote themselves and enroll them without you even really having much interaction with them. At the end of the day, we want to make enrolling as easy as possible. So, and that's the other reason why I think with the current structure of our country and with everything going on with COVID, ACA and things that you can do full telephonic enrollments with are the hot product this year. It just is. People are going to be much more susceptible of doing sales over the phone now because they're not going to want to meet with people face to face. And, comparing an ACA, let's just compare ACA to Medicare Advantage. Medicare Advantage has been very profitable to us and something we're always going to be marketing. But it was like I was having a conversation the other day. You can only enroll somebody one at a time in Medicare Advantage. With the ACA, I can enroll, an entire family all at one time, 4, 5, 6 people. Everybody's in the family. So take advantage of that, especially when you're getting paid on a per member, per month basis. That's what PMPM means. It means per member, per month. And all of these carriers are paying that way now. So, I hope that helps. And also, guys, on the FFM certification, I want to point out they have a new agent registration and returning agents. What new agent is anybody basically who did not certify last year. So it doesn't matter if you certified in the past. If you did not certify last year, then you're going to have to come in as a new agent registration. Otherwise, you just hit the return, you go right in, you complete your FFM certification. Make sure, guys, if you're doing your FFM certification that you choose to do it through CMS. Because if you do it through AHIP, they're going to charge you. And when you're going through the process, it's going to ask you, who do you want to complete your FFM certification through? Make sure you do it through CMS because it's free of charge. And I'm telling you guys, it's easy. All you're doing is doing some modules and doing a quiz at the end. Super easy. Probably took me about 30, maybe 45 minutes to do total.
Micah, can you touch briefly on the carriers and how they pay per member per month, which is some of the PMPM that we talked about yesterday? We got some questions for another insurance acronym, but do you know off the top of your head which carriers have a cap and which ones don't?
Some carriers do have the 5-member cap. Cigna is one of them. Bright Health is also one that has the 5-member cap. And for those of you that don't understand what that means, it means that Once the largest family that they'll pay you per member on is 5 members. Anything over that is just going to be the same commission. So, and like I said, they haven't released what the street level commissions are yet. But and here's another thing for those of you out there that are uplines to other agents that aren't actually selling yourself, but your agents are selling, you can still receive a compensation for that without even being certified. The only people that have to certify and be appointed are the writing agents. So we can set up a hierarchy for you and be completely hands-free for you. So for those of you that maybe do life insurance primarily and don't focus on ACA, or Medicare Advantage and don't focus on ACA, but you have agents that do, we can set them up and contract them and build you that hierarchy while still keeping it in the family and also doing all the service work on our end. Because at the end of the day, again, why do independent agents partner with GAs and FMOs? It's for that support, just to take a lot of that admin work off, for information, to have a one-stop shop for all of your carrier needs. That's pretty priceless. Otherwise, I mean, for all of you out there that are independent, you know how hard it is to find information on all the carriers. Do you really want to sit there on the phone and have to call each carrier individually? I don't know if you've noticed, but it takes a long time to get some of these carriers on the phone when you're calling them. To go to one place and say, hey, can you tell me how Bright Health, Cigna, and Am better? Absolutely, I can. Well, let's talk about the opportunities. That's what we're here for. And from what I've seen, guys, and it's kind of like a personality, okay? So, and this is just going to be my perspective, and I'm going to give it to you because I'm the one presenting and I can do that. Basically, in the past few years, Cigna, for example, seemed like a carrier that really didn't want the business. It was almost like, yeah, we're here. We don't really want to market that much. We're not going to pay commissions in some counties. And if you want to write us, fine. If not, then that's fine too. That's not the case anymore. They want business. They're being very aggressive. They expanded into 60 plus counties just in North Carolina. They're going to be competitive in Tennessee. They're going to be competitive in Florida. It's a new way of presenting, and it's kind of exciting because that's what we want. We want those carriers to want the business, to partner with us, to give them the business. And if you sell a lot, we want them to pay us a lot, right? So that's why they do the bonuses. That's what's so beautiful about it. If you want to sell 1 or 2 policies, that's fine. You're more than welcome to do that, and you'll get paid on those policies. If you want to sell 100 policies, they're going to pay you more. You're going to get those bigger opportunities. And I just don't think that you can pass up helping people, putting them in on new products, better products. If you want to know my opinion on Oscar, they are what seems to me like a millennial company ran by a bunch of younger guys who really are excited and wanting to grow the business and do it in a different way. They're more technology based. They have some really interesting plan structures. They're the ones who came out last year with the zero deductible bronze plan, which I thought was a really cool idea. So, and I think as they grow and become more competitive, you know, they're changing how we do business as an entity, technology wise and benefit wise. Bright Health, they're doing things a little differently and adding Medicare type benefits like Meals on Wheels, other different benefits on there. And that's why you really need to sit in on each one of these webinars individually so you can know, you know, what those products have and what separates them. And better, you know, they've had a lock on the market for the last few years and they are continuing to grow. Centene is a huge company with a lot of financial backing and they're going to be here for the long haul. Molina was the carrier that after all the carriers pulled out in 2016, like Coventry One, Humana, United Healthcare, Molina was the one that stepped up. And they were able to enroll 1 million members in no time at all. Unfortunately for them, though, they lost a lot of money doing that and ended up having to completely revamp their company. And I keep waiting year after year for them to step up and be a super competitive carrier. Will this be the year? I don't know. That's yet to be determined. But again, a carrier that had so much possibilities years ago, and then I really thought was going to be the carrier. And then again, they just kind of had to reevaluate and restructure their whole company. So each company, from what I'm seeing, kind of has their own personalities. Anthem is another one that their street level commissions are terrible, and unfortunately, there's no override. So you know, it makes it really hard to build hierarchies. However, with Anthem, like I said in Atlanta, Georgia, hint for all of you guys there, you write a lot with them, there's some bonus structures that you can make. There is bonuses that we can help you with if you feel that you can really put up some numbers in there. And those are conversations that we have to have, and then we have that with the carriers. So again, once we know and or have ideas of where we really want to market and where we want to focus on, let us know that, because we can go to the carriers and let them know that, and they can determine whether or not they agree with you, and they can also provide you with resources. And you have to think about that. You guys are not alone out there. There's Messer Financial. There's our staff that's vested in you that wants you to succeed. The carriers are out there. They want you to succeed with them. They want that business. They want that market share. They want partners. And you guys obviously want to succeed. So between the three entities, I don't see how you can fail if you really want to put out some effort and really want to make it work. And we will help, develop business plans and tell you that. We will sit down with you. A lot of these agencies out there just basically contracting, and their value is, hey, I'll pay you more than anyone else. Well, that's great. What good is that going to do? I'll pay you $1,000 a member. It does us no good if you're not going to write a policy. But if you want to develop a business plan and talk about how we can help you grow your market, that's where Messer's value really comes in.
Micah, tell me why, as a broker that's maybe been successful in the life segment of our industry, or possibly on the over 65, why should I look at the under 65 enrollments right now?
So, as I said before, with the state of the country and the COVID and the weariness of being able to meet face to face, Medicare Advantage is obviously for seniors, and seniors, just in our history, I've always wanted to do things face to face, and rightfully so, because honestly, when Medicare Advantage first came out, there were no regulations on how you market it, and so many seniors were being taken advantage of. So they have a bad feeling of anybody trying to sell them anything over the phone. They want that face to face, in person, and unfortunately, with the way things are, a lot of times that's not going to be possible. Also, on the under 65 market, we know that there's such an influx of change. And what I mean by that is there's so many people that were either laid off, let go, furloughed, whatever you want to call it, that are coming off of these group policies that are going to need homes now on the ACA market. There's people that may not have ever qualified for subsidy before because their income was too high, but this year, because of an income change, now do qualify for subsidies. So you got that wave of people coming into the market. Plus all the carrier expansion. There's only so many zero deductible plans that you can have on the MA side, where the ACA, you don't know who's going to have the zero. And that's the exciting part. New expansion with carriers brings new opportunity for rollover. And that's why I was saying earlier about the Mississippi opportunities and these other ones, and Georgia, for example, Ambetter has such a lock on that market. Am I going to come into that market waving the Ambetter flag? Well, chances are the clients already have it. Start looking at other options, because they're available now. That's what's exciting. And really, from what my perspective is I feel like this year, with the carrier expansion and these new opportunities and an increase in commissions and the bonuses and the hunger in these carriers that are wanting to really get a portion of the market share, I look at it as this kind of being the ground floor of ACA as far as their rebirth. So, a lot of this is all about positioning in the right times. Those agencies that were positioned when Med Advantage first came out back in 2005 made fortunes. The agencies that were in position when ACA first came out back in 2011 made fortunes. And now we have a rebirth of the ACA where, again, there's going to be agents that make fortunes. And it's going to continue. And as long as, and that's the advantage of being independent agents, is we can tilt wherever the opportunities are. I remember when I first started, I was very concerned. When I started with Messer back in 2015, I was very concerned about the standard of ACA. I just knew that it wasn't going to be able to continue in its current mode, where these premiums were doubling every year. Carriers were losing millions. It was just, oh my gosh, everything was going to explode. So being able to pivot, and I remember talking to Bill Rice, who was the owner of Messer Financial, and he always told me, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's shoes. We are always going to be able to sell something wherever the opportunity is, because we're independent. That's the value. So for all of the guys that, had all your, that whole eggs in one basket with the carriers, you cannot do that in this landscape. And I think that, like I said, with Florida Blue, they're going to really start understanding that you can't hold agents captive like that, because if you do, when there's other carriers that are coming in paying more with better rates and better benefits and better networks, you're going to lose everything. So that is my perspective, anyways, on why ACA is the opportunity this year. And I'm not saying, guys, that if you're very successful in Medicare Advantage, that you need to stop doing Medicare Advantage, or if you're a life agent, you should stop doing life and only focus on ACA. Absolutely not. What I'm just saying is that there is opportunity, and if you're wanting to take advantage of that, work with us, and we'll help you develop a plan to put that into perspective. And guys, I'll tell you, here's a good example. In North Carolina, we had a guy. This is a husband and wife who wrote tons of policies in North Carolina with Blue Cross over the year when they were the only carrier. And then guess what? Bright Health came in with a lower premium and a better network into the Charlotte market, and he rolled it all, most of his business over to there. And because of the bonuses and everything else, this husband and wife, just a husband and wife, in 6 weeks, 800 clients, made over $400,000 for the year in commissions. 6 weeks, husband and wife. Is that worth your time? Now, in the past, when there's only one carrier and they're paying terrible on renewals, what opportunity is there for ACA? It's not even worth my time to service them because I'm not getting paid hardly anything. So what do the carriers do now? They come in with high first-year comp, and they back it up with continued first-year comp every year. So, you talk about Medicare Advantage is great, but you're going to get half the amount that you do the second year that you do the first year. You don't get that in the ACA anymore. If that doesn't give you a feel of why ACA is such an unbelievable opportunity this year, then I really don't know how else to do it.
Great. And I know this week we've tried to focus on the ACA carriers, Micah, but could you tell me, let's say, for example, I walk into a home and I realize that based on the adjusted income that we're not looking at an ACA plan. What are my options at that point, and what would you recommend that we look at?
Sure, and they can go off the exchange, and each carrier will have their own map of where they're going to be on and off the exchange. Most are off the exchange, and guys, what that means, on and off exchange, basically all that means is whether you qualify for a subsidy or not. And just because you don't qualify for a subsidy, that doesn't mean you can't go through the marketplace and still sign up for a plan. You're still allowed to do it. You just won't get a subsidy. So it's not really going to have a big impact one way or the other, because as long as there's an on-exchange plan, people will still be able to sign up whether they qualify for a subsidy or not. And I'll tell you guys this too, and I want to put this in everybody's mind. So the ACA, you got to think about who is enrolling in ACA, right? So you've got people that obviously are lower income that are qualifying for subsidies. I mean, heck, if the government's going to pay for your premiums, by all means do it. And then you're also going to have the influx of people who have pre-existing conditions and unfortunately don't have any other options. So those are the people, and I think I saw a statistic. It was over 90% of the people that are enrolled in the marketplace qualify for subsidies. Okay, so obviously you're going to be dealing with, like I said, the lower income folk. Now there are also people that are higher income that don't qualify for subsidies and are relatively healthy. For those people, folks, now you're talking about a whole nother ballgame. Now you're talking about short-term medical, which, by the way, mark it on your calendars if you haven't done so already. The week of October 5th, I'm doing another series of short-term medical webinars with all the different carriers to get everybody up to speed. And that's when you're talking some serious change. I have a agent that I work with right now that has over 800 clients with National General on their short-term medical alone. Do the math on that, guys. We're talking in the 20% range commissions. And if your average premium is roughly $300, so let's just do the math on that real quick. $300 average premium, times that by 0.2, that's 20%. That's $60, right? Times that by 800, that's $48,000 a month. Times that by 12, $576,000 a year this person's making with one carrier, one product. And then guess what, folks? Now you've got a whole database of people that are healthy with money. What can we do with people that are healthy that have money? The answer is, folks, is anything you want. You can talk about all the money you just saved them on health insurance by taking them off of an ACA plan, putting them on a short-term medical plan, and then investing half of that money into a life insurance policy for their children or for themselves, or a hospital indemnity plan to cover some of that deductible, or a dental plan, or anything, guys. You got to think about how you can combo this opportunity. There's just so much, and at the end of the day, to me, I don't ever want to leave anybody out. So that'd be like me saying, well, I only want to market to men, or I only want to market to women, or only seniors, or only under 65, or only healthy, unhealthy, rich, poor, whatever it is. There's always an opportunity. Now, obviously, we all have our niches on which kind of demographic that we want to market to, but just make sure that you have something available for the people that aren't, because they're always going to come across people that are in different situations, and every situation is different. So I know that was long-winded, but that's why, like I said, there's just always opportunity.
Here's a good question for us, Micah. Just in the event that somebody has an income that's maybe too high for a subsidy, or is in that gap that they don't make enough, and they don't have the best health records, what are we looking at there in terms of options for those individuals?
So, unfortunately, a lot of states didn't expand on their Medicaid. So there is going to be a large portion of folks out there that do not qualify for subsidies because they make too little, and they make too much, or have too much in assets to get on Medicaid. So what they can do is very limited. They would get a hardship exemption at least, which then they could qualify for a catastrophic plan. For those of you that do not know, ACA carriers have to have what they call a catastrophic plan, which basically those who qualify for what they call a hardship exemption, which means that they don't have any affordable insurance being offered to them, can get a catastrophic plan. It is a lower premium. It's a 100% plan. I think you get 3 visits to your primary care doctor. So it is something available, and it is cheaper than a traditional ACA plan, than the cheapest bronze. And one thing I have seen also is, if, for example, if a client, let's say that the cutoff to qualify for a subsidy is $12,000, and somebody puts on there that they really expect to make $12,000, but they don't at the end of the year, and at the end of the year they end up making $9,000. Well, there's no penalty for those people that they're going to have to pay back any kind of subsidy for getting that, for making too little. Okay, so take that however you want to take that, but I do know there are situations where, unfortunately, like I said with COVID, you may have, whenever you were filling out your form, thought, oh, I'll for sure make over $12,000 this year, and then you actually don't. They're not going to come back and penalize you.
Great answer, Mike. And again, I would encourage everybody to make sure that they're aware of what the FPL levels are and what those income levels are, so that they can have those educated conversations with those folks. I know we're not accountants or attorneys out there, but we still need to be able to give some thoughts for those people to consider about what kind of amounts they are looking at on their tax returns, and what would be considered adjustable gross income, so they could or could not qualify for that. Can you go over?
And I was actually going to add on to that, and I know we've talked about this in other webinars, but guys, if you ever want to know information on what is considered as annual income, what money that you have to claim, which ones you don't, etc., everything you need to know is healthcare.gov. There's a search engine on there, so we know that they base subsidies off of what they call the modified adjusted gross income, right? So the MAGI, in other words. So I can type in MAGI, and it's going to come in. It's going to tell me information on that, how to estimate your household income, how to report your annual household income. It'll tell you what's included. Federal taxable, yes, is included. Tips, yes. Self-employment, yes. Again, it's all here, and you can just Google search it. So again, you don't have to know everything about everything. You just have to know where to find those answers. So you can find it by calling us. You can find it by going through healthcare.gov. And just so everybody knows, once you're FFM certified, a client can go to healthcare.gov, and if they want to find a local agent, they can go right here, find local help. I search now, and I type in my zip code. So we'll type in here, and that's Mint Hill. Search, And there you go. Just for being FFM certified, your contact information is going to come up. And this, again, is going to be a good way for you to get leads. And one other thing, too, just to go back onto why ACA, is because you're not just selling ACA, guys. ACA is bringing more clients. It's growing your book. So, those people that are under 65 won't always be under 65. Someday those will be over 65 clients. So, if I can accumulate over the years 400 clients on ACA and all of them turn 65 at some point, guess what? Now I have 400 MA clients, or at least 400 leads that I have close relationships with because they've been my clients. And it grows every other line of business. You can do, so for ACA, we're dealing with lower income. So you're talking about final expense products. You're talking about dental products. You're talking about, hey, do you have parents? Do you have grandparents? Do you mind if I contact them? You see how valuable I was to you here, and the money that I saved you here. Do you know anybody else that would be interested in saving money? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get them the least amount of exposure to anything that might cripple them financially, while also saving them money on premium. And that's where our expertise and doing our due diligence and finding out who those carriers are, and who those partners should be comes into play. And that is our value. So, a lot of times we're like, well, why don't they just go and enroll directly with the carrier? Do you know how complicated it is? I mean, just think of how much information I just shared with all of you, and you guys are experienced agents. Do it to somebody who knows nothing about the insurance industry. So if there's anything that was going to give you job security, how about being of value? That's your job security, making it so that you're going to give them a professional opinion that's non-biased, that's in their best interest as a client. That's the value.
Awesome. We've got, I think we've got time for one additional question here, Mike, and then we'll close it out for the day. And that's just, could you go back over your thoughts on what Ambetter's networks will look like here locally in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area?
I would love
North Carolina, excuse me.
I would love to, but that was one of the things that we have not been cleared yet to give out that information. So as soon as that is available, absolutely, we'll let you know who they're partnering with, what their network looks like. It will be on the next week's webinar. So again, Ambetter, we're going to do a full Ambetter. I'm going to have the rep there. He's going to tell you everything about Ambetter, why Ambetter, what their expansion is. They'll go over basically some of the information that I went over and additional information like network. So unfortunately, I don't have that authority yet to go over that on this, but as soon as I do, we'll get that out to everybody.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a good place for us to close out today. I believe Micah went over with you guys. If you need contracts, you can do so very quickly on the Messer Financial website. If you don't already have a Sure LC profile built, please go to our contracting page, online contracting, create that site, upload the pertinent information, and agree to the Messer agreement, which is a protective agreement for both you and Messer Financial regarding your commissions, and then start to select the carriers that you need that are relevant in your area of focus. If you need some additional help, give us a call here at 866-568-9649, and we'll be happy to help you. You can speak to the folks back in producer support, or if you need a little bit more detailed information, please ask to speak to one of the marketing directors. Micah, go ahead and close us out, my friend.
Sure, absolutely. Now, this webinar, like I said, all of our webinars are posted on our website. Keep an eye out in your email for our invite for the Ambetter next week. Like I said, I think it's going to be Thursday at 10 o'clock. That's what we're shooting for. So you can register for that and you can get all the final details. And also the short-term medical ones. I'll go ahead and show you, actually, since I have my screen up here. If you ever want to know what webinars are coming up, on our homepage for messerfinancial.com, there's a calendar, and each one of these has a darked out area, and you can see what's coming up. So, today is the 24th. So if I click on that, it's the Ambetter. And then 25th tomorrow is Molina. We're going to go over that. It's 2 different sessions. So make sure to pick it's going to be market specific. So the first session is going to cover Florida, Michigan, Mississippi, Ohio, South Carolina. Then the afternoon one is going to cover California, New Mexico, Utah, Texas, and Washington markets. So make sure to pick which ones you want for there. Keep an eye out for the future ones. Like I said, short-term medical that are coming out. and just don't ever hesitate to use us as much as you possibly can, because we are here to help and we want you to succeed. So that's all I have. Again, thank you, everyone. I know this wasn't quite what you had in mind. I hope you were able to take some useful information with you. And like Jeff said, contact us Monday through Friday, and always keep an eye out for your email for additional information. So thanks again, everyone.